This is me, age 6. Little sighted Lucy had no idea back then that her 24-year-old self would never see her own face again. This girl dreamed of being a presenter, someone who made a difference. She never knew how much she would go through back then in such a short space of time. Sighted Lucy never had any doubt that she could be anything she wanted to be. The world would look at her and know that she would amount to something great. But that girl, eventually, through no fault of her own, found herself in a sighted world, not made for people like her anymore. When I was younger, because I was sighted, I was incredibly lucky. I saw people on my TV screens that looked exactly like me. It cemented the belief in myself. If they could do it, I could. Bamzuki was one of my favourite children's TV shows. I used to spend hours with my sister online creating my favourite fighting creature, hoping that it would be featured on CBBC. But now, those memories, however happy, are tainted because I know that someone exactly the same age as me, but completely blind, wouldn't have those memories. Not now. Not back then. 18% of the working population in the UK have a disability, which makes this next stat that I'm about to read quite concerning. The Creative Diversity Network found in their latest Diamond report, released earlier this year, that of those working in children's media, 5.7% of people off-screen and 6.2% of people on-screen have a disability. Is this okay? Before I acquired my disability, I knew nothing about disability. Is this okay? Disability isn't mainstream. Is this okay? By age 17, I had lost all usable vision I had once had, and I was scared. Never having seen anyone else like me, what was I going to do? I felt really ashamed to be Lucy. Over the previous year, I spent so many hours dyeing my hair, so many colours, because media perpetuated stereotypes made me believe that hair and makeup wasn't going to be important when I lost my eyesight. On the 23rd of March 2013, my world faded to black. I sat in that dimly lit eye hospital ward and I felt like my world was over as I knew it. Sighted Lucy was no more. My world was different in an instant. And not only that, the grief hit me like a ton of bricks. The world didn't see me as valid anymore. They just saw me as a blind woman. Disabled, not abled. An inspiration, not a leader. What made that period of my life even more difficult was the idea that blind me was somehow broken and less valid. In that first year, I would walk like a zombie to the shop, only to be told by a well-meaning person that I was an inspiration for picking up a tin of baked beans. Something clicked within me that day. I just remember reading headline after headline that kept inferring that I was a burden, watching programme after programme with no audio description. It just felt relentless. And it still feels relentless. A few months passed and youtube.com/Lucy Edwards was born. If I added to the conversation, I thought surely things would change. My video, Blind Girl Does Her Own Makeup, went viral. I was so excited and I felt so empowered. However, if you looked under the video at the comment section, some commenters, although well-meaning, left comments like, "Bless her, isn't she doing well for a blind girl? OMG!" I cried myself to sleep that night. Tired, so tired. I will never be equal or valid, I thought. Did you have a role model growing up? I didn't, so I made myself the role model. There was no woman on British television with a visual impairment on a primetime show. Google didn't give me any results, and as a young blind person, a lot of the content focused towards helping blindness seemed to be for elderly people, and I didn't identify with that. I picked myself back up and found my true love for the media world. The comments didn't get to me anymore because I was finding my new normal. Uploading to the internet allowed my diverse voice to be heard, but I felt we were still a long way off inclusion. Presenting and storytelling are two things that made me feel the most Lucy. It fired up an energy within me that was so exciting. I thought I would apply for the BBC Extending Digital News scheme. I was so excited. It was a really sunny day and my phone started ringing. It was Ian George, and he informed me that I was now a BBC journalist. I cried tears of joy. I was so excited that I could not only tell my story, but other people's. These are the type of schemes that will change the landscape of our industry for the better. It will lead to true inclusion. Disabled journalists that eventually go on to be head commissioners, editors, leaders, producers, presenters on primetime shows will truly make an inclusive world. A diverse voice is a valuable voice. Katie Lloyd, Sarah Lamley and Ian George are true change makers. They are disability allies, and we need everyone involved if we're going to have an inclusive industry. Is this you? I found true acceptance of myself and my disability when I said that my voice was a valued voice. My work and campaigning taught me to be unapologetically me, and that's how I became the first ever blind Radio 1 presenter. I could not stop smiling when I found out that news. 17-year-old Lucy would never have ever dreamt that there would be this much acceptance in her lifetime of her disability. I'm now working with BBC engineers to make at least one of the 60 London radio studios accessible. This feels so positive, and it feels like we're making small steps to true inclusivity. We still have a long way to go though. I really do feel so strongly that disabled talent shouldn't just be seen in disabled storylines. Disabled content is amazing and truly needed, but it's not the only content that a disabled person is capable of making. I have seen that firsthand from my Extend colleagues. I'm sure you're sitting there wondering what you can do. Become a disability ally. Have an expectation on your disabled colleagues. They are brilliant. Involve disabled talent, actors and producers to have a creative input on your shows. Increase disabled talent on and off screen. Pledge today that this will be a priority for you in 2020 and beyond. Go to www.lucyedwardsofficial.com/disability changemakers. Write down your name and your email address. Join my focus group and follow the amazing work of June Sarpong, the creative diversity lead at the BBC. Hold yourself accountable. Thank you so much for listening to my talk today. If you take away one thing from my talk, please remember that every single little blind Lucy that is sitting behind their TV or in front of their radio will be waiting for her favourite show to include people like her. Thank you.